Hello to all you retirees out there, or people coming up for retirement. What I'm going to speak on today, I have spoken on before, but I think it's pretty important. And for those of you who may be newcomers, I'd like to tell you this. I am 88 years of age. I live in Sydney, Australia. I'm an old guy who's been married for 64 years and is a great-grandfather. But more important for you, I've been retired now for 29 years. So when I speak to you, I can speak from experience, not theory, about retirement. Now I know that when a person gets to my age, 88 years of age, if they make it, long before that they start worrying about what's it like? I'm going to die. I'm going to die. And so many people are afraid of dying. I was reading in this book, and this is a book worth getting. Arthur C. Brooks's From Strength to Strength. And in that book, he talks about how he'd done some research into the fear of dying. And I couldn't believe it. Apparently, 1 in 5 people, 20% of people, are very afraid of dying. And some very small percentage are absolutely terrified of the idea. They've even got a word for it. It's called thanatophobia. Thanatophobia. Let me tell you this, and I don't tell you a lie. Dying is no problem at all once you accept that. Acceptance is the thing. Fully acceptance. You're not going to no longer exist. You are a spiritual being. You are an immortal person. Well, maybe not person, but you are immortal. You have no need to worry about that. I've been into a thing called automatic writing now since my early 30s, in which I can take down messages via my subconscious mind through my hand from spiritual beings. Now, I didn't believe that for a long, long while. Didn't believe it at all. Until I got, in my opinion, complete evidence that this was the case and I wasn't making it up. But here's the divine dichotomy. We are all separate and we are all one. Now that's difficult for a mind to accept. Our logical mind says, how can I be separate and one? But our logical mind can get us into a lot of trouble. A lot of trouble. But to get back, I once had an experience, and I've spoken about this before, where I lost any fear of dying whatsoever. And it happened like this. At that time I was what they would call an Antarctic expeditioner. Though I wasn't actually in the Antarctic, I was on a subatomic island. A big slender slither of rock that pokes above the surface of the sea, which is filled with wildlife. 18,000 elephant seals. Did have 200,000 fur seals and 3 million penguins. Anyway, I was trekking alone, trekking, that's the word, with a big backpack on my back, about 20 miles from the base camp, when I got lost. Couldn't find my way to this little hut, which I had to find my way to before it got dark. Walking down the island, I had this little map in my pocket, and I thought, that's funny. The sun should be going down on my right-hand side because I'm heading south. But it's going down on my left. What have I done? Somehow or other, I'm now going north again. Anyway, eventually I found my bearings and I knew that this hut was about half a mile away, down on the coast, down on the east coast. So I headed down this stream, a fast-flowing mountain stream. Not very wide, and I was jumping from one side to the other, when eventually I jumped off of a high point, a rock I thought, onto what I thought was solid ground on the other side. Blooch! Up I went to my thighs in, well, yes, above my knees anyway, in mud. Because there's so much rain on the quarry. 340 days of the year it rains and there's hardly any evaporation. So there's bogs everywhere, and I'd landed in one. And I couldn't get out. I reached for the rock behind me, too far away. Everything was too far away. So I tried to get out. First of all, I couldn't believe it. This can't be happening. This is ridiculous. And then the panic set in. And then, why me? I'm too young to die. And all these sort of things went on. Pleading, please God help me. And then eventually I knew that I wasn't going to get out. There was no telephones in those days, no mobiles. I was completely isolated and alone. Nobody knew of my predicament except me. But maybe somebody else, maybe a spiritual guide or someone, because what happened next was uncanny. I heard a voice in my head. And the voice said just 3 words: spread the weight. Spread the weight. And I knew what that meant. It meant take the backpack off. It was on a big aluminium frame. Put that out in front of you. Undo your coat. Hold the sleeves. Lean forward. This is what I did. And I eventually managed to pull one boot up a little bit. It almost seemed to suck the boot off my leg. The suction was so great. But I moved it. Then the other one. Back to the first again, and so forth. And I almost crawled, half submerged, across that bog until I was able to grab hold of some tough grass and rest there before I could finally pull myself out. The point I'm making is this. Once I accepted that I wasn't going to survive, a great peace came over me. It wasn't so bad. The only thing I felt was a little bit of sadness, well, quite a lot of sadness, that I would never see my wife and kids again. And then, of course, the voice. So the point I'm making to you, as retirees getting on, don't worry about this business about dying. Just watch some of the YouTubes, the out-of-body OBEs, out-of-body experiences, and NDEs, near-death experiences. They're not making that up. And there's hundreds of them, hundreds of them. Why would they all be doing it? And why would they all be doing it so well? There's nothing to worry about as far as dying goes. So if you're a retiree, look forward to the final third of your life. Enjoy it all the way through. And forget about the end. It'll take care of itself.